Okay, I'm going to model today how to create a Google form for Mr. Matthews. He has requested help in his technology implementation. So I told him that I would show him how to create a Google form, and he could also create one after watching his tutorial and send it out to his classes. He's going to give me access to that so that I can see how he set up his Google form and give him both positive and constructive feedback as needed. So what we're going to do today is create a Google form on triangles, and I will show him how to do that. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your Google Drive. When you are in your Google Drive, you can choose New, and you can choose Google Forms. All right, when you go to Google Forms, this is the default window that pops up. Now, the first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is title your Google form, because it will get lost in your drive if you don't title that Google form. So I'm going to title this one Demo Triangles. Okay, so once you name it Demo Triangles, it will automatically update your title here. And you can change that if you want to. Let's say you wanted to put it out to first period, you can put first period there. And it doesn't automatically change your title that's up here. It keeps the title that you gave it originally. So if you wanted to change this for each period, you can do that. And I'll show you how to make a copy of that as well. All right, so the main thing about being able to use Google Forms as a math teacher is a lot of times we need to be able to add pictures and figures to our problems. So the form description here can be instructions to your students. It could be, please choose the best answer, and then, spell check is great. Okay, it could also be a story. If you're doing a word problem in the same area, something like that, you can type that there as well. The first thing that I will always encourage you to do when you're doing a Google form is put a first name and last name question option here, because if you don't, you have no way to organize your results. So definitely make sure the very first thing you do is put a first name and a last name. Make this question required, and you'll see that that will pop up purple. You make it required. When you type in something like first name, the computer automatically recognizes that those fields are going to be different for every student. So it immediately changes it to a short answer type of question. If you click here on this arrow, you can change it to any of these types of questions you want. The ones that we will majorly deal with here today are the short answer and the multiple choice. So the first answer, or the first name, and then you're going to also want to do last name. That way you have one column that gives you the first name of your student and one column that gives you the last name of your student, and you can sort them alphabetically however you want to by first name or last name. It just makes it very, very simple. Okay, so that takes care of naming our Google form. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to add a question, and this will be our first question. Now, I said that this is a demo on triangles, so of course I probably need a picture of a triangle. Now, let's say that you wanted to add a picture to this question. So you have to have the picture saved on your computer. For example, if I go to my documents, and I go to pictures, you can see that I have a ton of triangle problems saved here in my pictures. I also have some word problems saved here as well. So make sure that your images are saved in your pictures so that you can either pull them from your documents or from your Google Drive. So I'm going to insert a picture, and I'm going to choose any of these pictures. Let's choose right triangle 1. Okay, so here's my right triangle. As you can see, this would be a lesson on Pythagorean theorem. So the question you could type here is find x. If you wanted to give them a little bit more of a hint, you could say find x using the Pythagorean theorem. And again, spell check is amazing. You find the x using the Pythagorean theorem. And then you can make these options. You can do an A, B, C, D. Let's say I think that the answer is 7. It's not, but let's say I think it is. Let's say that I want to maybe make them think it's 21, or it's 16, and maybe it's also 9. So you can give them, this is a multiple choice type question, okay? And you make this question required. Now they have to answer it or they can't move on, okay? Now this is all great and wonderful for adding questions to your form, but how do you make it graded for you? The way you make this graded is you have to come up here to your little settings bar, and you have to change it to a quiz. So when you click settings, this is your general settings, okay? You collect the email addresses. You can do that if you want to. That will collect the email address of every single student that submits this. This is really good if you want to make sure that only one Google form is coming from each computer, or from each Google Drive or Google account. Restrict the users to Phoenix City Schools. You definitely want to do that. You don't want anybody else's students creating answer forms for your quizzes. Limit to one response. This is a box you want to check if you want to see how they do on the first try. If you don't care how many times they take it until they get 100, then you can unclick that box and be just fine. Otherwise, I like to limit it to one response because I want to see what they can do. This last part says respondents can edit after submit or see summary charts and text responses. Edit after submit means if they get it wrong, they can go back in and fix it, and you'll never know. So I highly encourage you not to check this box here. Presentation, if you want the students to see the questions in a different question order, every single student, click shuffle question order. If you want them to show them how many that they have to complete, their progress bar, you can click here. Quizzes, if you make this a quiz, this assigns your points values to your questions, okay? Now, here, the locked mode on Chromebooks is a beta feature. You can do your upload, and this locks the screen so that they cannot look at other tabs while they are testing. This is a great new feature that Google Forms has given us. One thing I want to bring your attention to on this screen is that when you click respondents can see missed questions, correct answers, and point values, this gives them the opportunity to see what they missed and why. Now, this is a great feature. However, I caution you against correct answers, especially if you're giving this to multiple classes. Because if one class can see the correct answers, they can easily send it to their friends, and their friends can see correct answers. Missed questions are kind of the same way, but that is really a personal preference on these three. Okay, so now that I have made this a quiz, let me show you how to set a point value here. So now that we've set our question, we've given our answer choices, we go to answer key. And let's say I want this question to be worth 2 points. I go to 2 points, and I have to click an answer for my answer key. And let's say the answer is 9. I'm not saying it is. I'm just, let's pretend it is. So this question is 9. Now I have my first name, my last name, and my question and my answer with my point values. When you finish with this, you'll be able to see every single response and what they got wrong and how in here. And I'll model that for you. Let me go in and choose a form that I already have completed. Here's a law of sine and cosine quiz that my second period completed. So I have 15 responses for this. Now notice that I have it not accepting responses. You can do that in your response window. It is accepting responses or it is not accepting responses. Okay, so in this one I am no longer accepting responses, and I can see the summary of my problems here. Now the range is from the majority of the points, the most points they could get were 70 points. The range was in between 19 points and 61 points, and the median was 41 out of 70 points. So obviously we struggled a little bit here. And you can see a bar chart of all of those responses. You can also see individual question analysis for each one. So, for example, this was a vocabulary question on a notebook. You can see that what percentage of your students clicked what incorrectly. So I can easily go through here and see which concepts that my students are struggling with and how I can address those. So looking here, it looks like that's a notebook question. Try to find one where it looks like I really need to. Okay, so in this question right here, it says, what is the answer to example 4 in page 104? Again, this is a notebook question, but it looks like I need to go back and make sure that all of them have their notebooks in order, especially around this page, because that may be important material they need for their test. Here's another, let me find some content questions. Here we go. Here's some content questions where it's law of sine, law of cosine. I can see that 10 of 15 students, which is 2/3 of them, got this correct, but 1/3 of them did not. So I need to go back and I need to hit, how do you recognize when to use the law of sine and the law of cosine? So this is how you can use this analysis. Now, when you're looking at the results here, you can go to this little Sheets button right here, and it will open it for you in a Google Sheet. Now, this is why I told you that it's so important to do a last name and a first name, because I can sort, here's my last name column. I can sort this column by alphabetical order, A through Z, and now I have all of my students in order, and I can see what their individual scores were out of 70. It makes it very easy to put it in your gradebook. I can also see the timestamp of when they took this. It did collect their email addresses, and I can see every single answer that they gave me right here lined up. So you can go through this and you can look and say, okay, well, the majority of students picked cosine there. That was a good thing. So these sheets are a very good way that you can use your data analysis very, very quickly. Okay, so that is how you create a Google form, and I look forward to getting one from you and finding out what you've done.